there. So excited to be here tonight. I'm just waiting for my friend Ana Rosa to jump on. We are going to be live together tonight. So welcome in. I'm glad to have you here. Oh, she joined already. Hold on, let's see. Oops. I'm looking for your request to join. There it is. There it is. Here she comes. Just waiting on her. I know the minute I start talk. Oh, okay. Hello.
Hi,
I,
Sweet
I was
Mary.
afraid to start talking because when you go live, as soon as you start, when you're waiting, then it gets all garbly. So I'm just
Yes,
like,
it's so good to be here with you
yes,
all. Yes,
yay! How are you?
I'm doing good. Yes, just finished my work day and I am excited for our live and all the things we have to share and just talk and have fun.
Me too. I'm excited to be here. Hello, anybody who's jumping on. We're really excited and so honored to have you here with us tonight as we have a little chat. And tonight, we thought we would begin, and we'll just let the conversation just take us, right, Anna?
Yes.
We thought we'd begin with the topic of something called the liminal space. So I'd love to hear anybody who's on, have you ever heard of something called the liminal space? It's it's when we start talking about it, I think that anybody will recognize it and say that's it has a name. You know, that's the liminal space. Because when I ran across it, it's it it resonated so much for me because it's something that I feel from time to time, and it's so strong, yet it's so unsettling. And I never really understood that it had a name. And so when I discovered the name and more about it, I just think it made me feel, it was very comforting to know. I felt, I don't want to say seen, but it felt like that. It just felt like I recognized it and I loved it. So, had you heard about it? Were you familiar with the term liminal space,
I
Anna?
I was not familiar with the term, but I like what you said about like just by knowing that the feeling and the sensation has a name gives me like a better compassion towards me, not thinking, oh my God, am I crazy? Oh my God, am I like uh, being bored, or am I just being anxious for something that there is no need for that?
It's
So for those
normal.
of you, yeah, for those of you who will listen from us talking about liminal space, it's something that everybody goes through every day or in different phases of our lives. And it's really awesome to know that we are all similar and I am not different or weird or bizarre or awkward because I am feeling that way in
Yeah.
that moment. So again, I would love for you to tell them what the liminal space is so we could just keep talking about this and enjoying.
Yeah, let's define liminal space. So liminal is a Latin word, and limen actually means threshold in Latin. So the liminal space is an in-between space. And it's interesting, it can be a physical space or also a state of mind. Like, so you think of like an in-between space would be like a hallway, an empty airport. But the thing about it as being a space, it has sort of an eerie or uncomfortable feel, if you will, to it. You know, like so, an empty hallway that would ordinarily maybe be full of people during the day. At night, it's empty. You know, an airport terminal that is usually really busy, but for some reason you walk through it and it's eerily empty. So those are physical liminal spaces. Um,
And then the psychological liminal spaces would be like when you are moving from, you are starting college, or someone you love dies and you are starting to walk the journey of grief, or you move to a different country or to a different state and or to a different job, and then you are in that sense of uncertainty of the new, uncertainty of the new path, uncertainty of the next steps. And it's just that cold vacuum feeling in the belly, right? Like, what am I going to do next in this new situation that I haven't walked this journey before? Or even if I have walked a similar journey, it's not the same, it's just a similar journey, right? So I really like the feeling of anxiety or uncertainty, or when you cannot feel still, when you are like worried and concerned, and like, yeah,
You
overthinking,
know,
overthinking about what's gonna happen next. Yes.
I think it's really interesting when there have been times when I've been in that liminal space when I didn't know I was in the liminal space. And there have been other times too that I can really think of that I've been in the liminal space and I knew I was in this space that I didn't have any word for. And the first one was it was grief, but it wasn't the initial part of my grief. It was the after I had been in this space and had done so much questioning, had dissected my grief and really turned toward it, and where there was healing, because as I started to heal, I knew that there was something else that was happening. And that was the first time that I really recognized, hey, I'm in this really interesting place where I don't feel as broken up or as paralyzed as I was. And now I feel like something's happening, but I can't quite put my finger on it, and and I think this is really demonstrated for me. It came up as I am going to share with you that I taught a class like in 2022 about this, because I think that when we are grieving, um, or in any of those spaces, divorce or any kind of loss, or when we go through this transition and we're beginning to feel like we are ready to open up again, we don't know how to do it. But I was feeling it so strongly that I created this class. And one of the a quote that I loved that came up that I think describes the liminal space so much. I'm sure you've heard of this quote before, if I can find it. It's such a beautiful quote. Um, and it's this. And the day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to bloom.
Yeah.
And that is sort of where you're on the precipice of coming, out of the liminal space.
Yes. I like that the liminal space, like it's when I was reading a little bit, saying it's the limbo, right? You are in a place that you are in the limbo. You don't know exactly what place you are. You are not in the past, but you are not in the future. And the present is kind of blurred because you have to make a decision. And the decision is to keep saying yes to you and to keep saying yes to life. And what I liked about what you said is feeling paralyzed, or because the liminal, this limbo sensation, it's like the you are gonna the you have the power to stay there forever. And that's what happened when we were facing COVID, which came another term that it's the lingering, right? So lingering is like when you don't have the energy to keep moving forward, when you are so tired, so burnout. So I kind of think that when you are in the limbo space, that you don't know what decision to take, and you start feeling overwhelmed, and you start feeling anxious, and you start feeling stressed, and you start overthinking, if you do not calm yourself down and really pause, because it's a pause, right? It's a pause in your life. But if you don't pause together with your life to reassess yourself, you're gonna be frozen, because it's a stress reaction, right? The stress reaction would be flight, fight, or freeze. And the freeze is what could happen in the liminal space, because you kind of like don't know what to do next. And what I like about this is Don Miguel Ruiz, you were talking about the pause, and I thought about a course I did with him that he was talking about the in between spaces, and he calls that in between spaces. And now I am kind of remembering that.
Mm-hmm.
And he was explaining that in between spaces is when, even when someone is talking to you, and before you answer, you pause. So you are in between a period and the beginning of the next chapter, in between a period and the beginning of your answer, the beginning of your phrase, the beginning of an action. And that's where you hold your power, because it's that in this limbo, liminal pause space that you can reassess exactly what do you want? What do you need? How are you going to keep moving forward? How are you going to get the tools, the resources, and everything you need to keep building what you want and what you need? And I believe the most important thing also is take the step, take the leap of faith, even if it's one small step, even if it's just saying a prayer, if it's just saying, I'm grateful to be here. Because then you are telling your body, your brain, your soul, your spirit, the universe, that you are taking the step together and moving forward, that you are not stopped in that situation, right? I think it's, yeah, because otherwise and then you are giving yourself permission to continue and assessing your body, like he says in the course. And I thought it was really beautiful in these in between spaces, in these moments of pause. Assess in your body what makes you feel peaceful and generous and grateful and joyful, and what makes you feel icky.
Mm.
Because the decision that makes you feel icky, you shouldn't go that way,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Yes. And
I
that's
think
when you know better what's the path you're going to follow, right?
absolutely. And I think that if you can have some awareness around, when that anxiety kicks up and you realize that you don't know what to do and you don't know where you're going, that something feels off, it doesn't feel right. Having some awareness, if you can catch yourself and say, this is a weird space. This, maybe you wouldn't call it the liminal space. Maybe you would just think of to yourself, I'm in an in-between space, and then give yourself some compassion, tell yourself it's okay. We all go through these in-between spaces, and I can't, I have to give myself grace, and
Yes.
I can't rush through this. This is a necessary period for me to birth something new. I
Yes.
need to take time and reflect. And there are tools, there are things that you can do that can help you, while you're in the liminal space. And you hit on one, which is one that comes into play in every aspect of our lives, which is gratitude, right? Remembering what
Yes.
is, that's very grounding. But I think having awareness that maybe you're in an uncomfortable space, but instead of just feeling uncomfortable, maybe take it as a sign that, wow, this is interesting. I might be on the precipice of a new adventure. Um,
Yes.
so I said that there were two times that I really, really was aware of the liminal space. It was sort of reopening from grief. The second was pretty recently. And the funny thing about the liminal space too is that it there are no set parameters of it. It can be a transition, a quick transition, or it can be a lengthy transition. And it's something that is really, you can't rush it. I think I already said that. But the second time that I noticed, it was not too long ago. And it was with the creativity that I do here on Instagram, and what I'm trying to, what my purpose is here, what I'm trying to not just create, but share with the intention, was my intention here, you know, and you know that because I've talked to you about it. I mean, I've probably driven people, you know, close to me a little bit nuts about it because I just had time where I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Is this really what I should be doing? I don't really know. But I think that with time and with, you know, grounding, you know, by journaling and meditating and practicing gratitude and trying to take good care of myself, that leaves that, it opens up the space more for me just to kind of listen to my body, you know, listen
Yes.
to, am I getting icky, or I'm getting, even if it's still uncomfortable, I I feel compelled to move forward and to keep producing, giving, doing, you know, sharing. And you don't really need to know why, right? You know, I mean, it's just, it feels right. So anyway, yeah, that's the second term.
Yes. And I like you said, like, as if you were giving birth, because it's exactly that. The transition space does not need to be, I just want to remind myself and bring this awareness to other people, like the transitional space, the pause space does not need to be related to only like difficult situations that you are going through your life. It does not need to be like, oh, my husband died and I am going to start a new life, a different life. I wouldn't say a new life, a completely different life. I was broken and I need to rebuild me again. No, the liminal space could be exactly what Mary just said. You are starting something new that makes you feel helpful, meaningful, connected, like sharing on Instagram in your page, or you are starting college, or you are getting married, or you just found a new boyfriend, or you're giving birth to a child.
Ah, that's a good.
So, yes, all these things. I never gave birth to to a child, but like all these things, good or bad, which again, I don't even put good or bad as adjectives for anything in my life anymore. But all these things are transitional points that the only thing you have to do is check with your body again what feels peaceful, what does not feel peaceful, and keep responding instead of reacting, which is what Gary Zukav says so well. Respond for every interaction you have with your life, either with people, the universe, yourself, whatever interaction, respond. Respond is like follow the peace, the love, the light, the
Yeah,
gratitude
yeah,
instead of
not,
reacting,
and
right?
not get
Yes.
hurried away. Just kind
Yes.
of let it, well, don't rush through it. Just let it
Yes.
percolate, let it be. And I thought of another one too that is kind of right there, that, you know, midlife is a huge liminal space.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I certainly know so many people here in my community and our communities here who are in that limit.
Us. Us.
Us, hello. And you know, that's a new, that's a definitely, it is uncomfortable yet exciting at the same time. You know, when you
Yes.
become when you're an empty nester, or when you're on the precipice of you know, of change in midlife,
Yeah.
all of that. You know, so yeah, so there's that.
I love that. I really like that because women tend to focus like, oh, menopause is so hard. Menopause is my ovaries are not functioning anymore. I don't have my periods. I have hot flashes. I'm losing my muscle. I'm losing my bones. No. Menopause is the freedom, you know? You are free to choose the path you're going to take. You have the power in anything, any time in your life. You have the power in your hands, the power to seek for hormonal replacement therapy, the power to start strength training, the power to start eating healthy, the power to, if it's a different thing, the power to start reading, the power to do a course, the power to research, the power to go online and just talk to other people and connect. Like, or you have the power to sit in front of your TV and watch Netflix as well, which is fine because I love watching Netflix too. But again, it's the transitional point. Like I think for all my transitional points, like when I decided that instead of going to law school, I was going to medical school, completely different ways,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
or when I decided that I was going to leave Brazil and move to the United States, complete different ways,
Right.
right? Or when I decided that I was going to get married again after being divorced from a very abusive first marriage. So it's kind of, you have the fear. Because I had the fear, like, oh my God, my first marriage was such hell on earth. How am I choosing to say yes to getting married again? Am I going to be in a prison again? Right? So, but when you make this decision, again, when I made my decision, first, I connected to my body and I made sure that I was feeling well with that decision. I was feeling peaceful with that decision. I was feeling content. And second, after I made the decision, I didn't put my tiptoe in the path. I put my 2 feet and I decided that I was gonna walk no matter what, right? And if something went wrong, I was going to learn. If something went well, I was going to learn. I was going to readjust, reassess, and I could always change directions, right? Because we only can change directions after we die. Then I hope we're all going to go to heaven. We don't have to change the direction. We're going to straight to
There you
heaven.
go. Beam me up.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, or to a good place, wherever your faith is. I just hope we're not gonna go to any place that is bad. We're gonna go to a good place. But anyway, I think that for me is feel what I want to decide in this transition point. And when I decide, then I really invest. I really invest myself. I really invest my time. I really invest my energy. Because otherwise the only person I'm fooling is myself, right? My mom used to say something about, you don't have to lie to me about decisions or anything. She would say, when someone is lying, this person is not lying to the other one. Like, again, I'm going to try to make it easier because in my accent and in my translation sometimes I don't want to get lost. If I am
Yeah,
talking to Mary and I'm going to tell her something, if I lie to her, it will have a consequence of course, with loss of trust, which is extremely important. But the main thing is like, the first person I'm lying and the most important person I'm lying is to me. So if I'm telling me that I am making the decision that I want to lose weight and I keep cheating on food, and I tell Mary, oh my God, I'm really following my calories, I am not lying to Mary. I am lying to me. I am sabotaging myself. So that's the power of, for me, that's the power of the transition space too, is to really like gather myself up so then I can put all my best to whatever I'm going to decide next,
that's
you
right.
know? Yes.
Yeah, that's the gathering up part. And the thing is that no one really likes the liminal space. No one likes it, but it's necessary. And that is when we turn inward and when we recognize that we're in that liminal space. Again, it's where the new thing is being birthed, and it's where we are establishing all of those things that we're going to create. It's where you're getting your game plan that you're going to be instituting, for your good health or for whatever it is that you're working on. It's not something it's the pause before, and it's uncomfortable. But if we're willing to really be there and look at it and acknowledge it and acknowledge ourselves, then that is where we have the opportunity to actually step into the next thing that we want in our lives, or do we become who we want to be. That's what.
Yes.
And it's really, you hit on another thing that I thought was interesting too. It's really a matter of perspective. A lot of it is, it's like, oh, I think I heard, maybe it was Dr. Vonda Wright. It was somebody on Instagram. I thought it was really interesting. You can look at your, up to your menopause years, and you could, look over on this direction and say, oh, there go, all of those years of my life, now I'm in menopause. And then you could look over in this direction and go, oh, there's all of those years of my life in front of me, you know? So it's like, it's a matter of how you're going to frame it. And
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. So,
Go
and
ahead.
oh, well,
Listening.
that's really it. Just that, yeah, you know, it's just reframing things and just understanding that um, being uncomfortable, and I think we all know this, we may not like it and acknowledge it, but being, you know, it's okay to be uncomfortable. Sometimes it's necessary to be uncomfortable. But, you know, I think that if we can just accept that as part of it, you know, to take a deep breath and know that it's just that it's going to pass and this is just part of it, then that allows us to, you know, to move through it.
Yes. I like what you said in two different ways. Like the one that right that she said about the menopause, and you said I could look back and say, oh my God, the best years of my life. I was younger. I didn't have to dye my hair wasn't falling, and I didn't have a lot of visceral fat because of menopause. And I was working and working and working all the time because that's what we do when we're younger, right?
Right.
But and now look at that, menopause. Yes, I get to choose the color I want for my hair because I could dye it any color I want. But the main thing is like all these years I'm going to be retiring. I could spend time talking to people. I could travel more. I could keep doing courses and learning. Look at all the opportunities that I had then and that I have there. I just have to open my eyes and really see that for each phase of our lives there are uh, all these opportunities that are on the table, like Mary, who had kids and has grandkids. Like she could look behind and say, look at all these years that I had my kids, they're all grown up, and now Brian is not here with me. But she also could look ahead and say, look at my grandkids and look how fun they are, and look the different relationship I'm building with my Brian, with my page, with my work, with everything he loved about me and he loves, and he's investing his soul with me on it. So I just see it as a blessing, you know, this transition of the transitions in life are just blessings if we are able to open our hearts and our eyes and really allow our soul to immerse in these transitions. Because when you were talking, I thought like it's almost like the transition space. Oh, I want to go travel. And I have to decide if I want to go to England or if I want to go to New Zealand. So that's a transitional space, right? But as soon as I decide
Yeah.
I'm going to go to England, then I am going to buy the tickets. I am going to plan the place that I'm going to stay. I'm going to plan the things that I'm going to do. And I'm going to get excited about that. And the future is going to like increase my energy of being alive. And I'm going to do the trip and I'm going to learn and I'm going to eat different things and I'm going to walk and I'm going to meet new people and I'm going to explore a different culture. That's a transition,
Yeah.
right?
That is, you've moved through the liminal space at that point. The uncomfortable place is New Zealand or I forget the other's choice.
England. And
England.
then being there forever.
You
Yeah.
know, that's the uncomfortable place. You know, once you're able to listen, take the pause, listen, feel divine inspiration, if you will, make the decision, then you move through the liminal space into the new adventure.
Yes.
And so it's so, I don't know, for me, it feels really profound. It's very simple, but it feels really profound. And I think that,
Yes.
you know, in the moment where you're like so uncomfortable thinking, I don't know, England, New Zealand, I don't, you know, you're just like, you know, making yourself crazy. If in that moment you're like, okay, this is just the liminal space. Maybe you wouldn't
Yes.
say, but you're just noticing that this is just, this is, this is exciting. You
Yes.
know, this is really an exciting time. You know, this is, I will look back on this moment and see the excitement, see that I'm ready for this is where the adventure took
Ye-
shape. This is where the adventure
Yes.
began. And
Yes.
I think it's so crazy.
And any kind of decision is going to be like that. Like, oh, am I going to be in Brazil or am I going to move to the United States? Oh, am I going to keep living in Minnesota or am I going to move to a different state? Right? So it's all a decision that after you make it, it's just the excitement of the new. And then it's almost like a virtual circle, right? The energy from the new fulfills you and your energy keeps fulfilling the adventure and it keeps going on and on and on.
It does. And
Yes,
I think that again, so I had some
I love it.
things here that, that can help us as we move through the liminal space. We talked about gratitude, just recognizing all your blessings and all the things when you're feeling uncomfortable, because that can help ground you and help it feel less intense.
Yes.
Let's say, you focus. Again, I think I mentioned the other one, not I mentioned this one I'm about to say, not formally, but embracing the uncertainty, understanding that it's not going to last, but understanding that I am in an uncertain place right now. That's that. And practice gratitude. The number three would be I'm going to be patient with myself. I know that this might not, this isn't, maybe this is a decision or a place that I'm at that can't be rushed. I'm just
Mhm.
going to let this happen. I'm not going to force it. I'm going to listen to my body, as you said, to see how this feels and follow that. And you also mentioned this too, is I'm going to set intentions. I'm going to reflect on what I'm feeling and where I want to go. Because once I can begin to do that, set my intentions, that's when it can begin to take shape and the plan starts to form and you can begin and you can move forward with that.
Yes,
Final one is to seek support. You know,
absolutely. Yes. Especially if it's a decision, the seek support portion, especially if it's a decision that it's overwhelming and that you're feeling very anxious, that you are feeling like that you are procrastinating, that you are frozen, and that you are too much afraid of taking the decision and you are being there forever. Because then sometimes if you look for a coach or if you look for a therapist, or if you just talk to a good friend, someone you trust, like I trust Mary and she trusts me, we would just like, come on, just keep going, do it, right? Yes.
thank you. I got
But
you.
in
I got you.
all respect, but in all due respect, I said that like making a joke, but like because it's just who I am. But like if you are in a position that you are stuck and you are afraid or anxious and you are overwhelmed and you are procrastinating, and that is only making yourself feel very miserable in that transitional point, it is really, really definitely a good option to look for a coach or a therapist or someone you could really trust,
Right.
right? So
But again,
yes, because it definitely
but
helps.
even then yes, definitely always seek support with a friend. But I love when you said when you feel stuck. I think that I like that because I want to highlight the fact that sometimes when we feel stuck, we're not really stuck. We're really in the liminal space. And if we can
Yes.
see that, because I kept telling myself, oh, I feel so stuck. I don't know what to do. I feel so stuck. But I think that if I can reframe that as I'm in a transitional space, I'm figuring this out. I'm just kind of moving through this. I'm not stuck. It's just part of what I need to do right now to figure out where I'm going next.
Yes.
That makes me feel so much different when I think of it that way.
I know. I like that. I almost envisioned when I went to New York, and I was at that Brooklyn Bridge. I think that I was just kind of imagining this right now when you were talking, like the liminal space, the transition point would be like the bridge, right?
Mm-hmm.
In one side of the bridge, it's Manhattan, I think, and the other side of the bridge, I don't know. Anyway, I don't know, but anyway, in one side of the bridge, I am in Manhattan, and I am in one situation in my life. As soon as I start the bridge, I still don't have the real I might still not have the real notion that at some point I'm going to be in the middle of the bridge with the river below me. And that's it. And then I might feel stuck because the bridge is long, or whatever size the bridge, whatever length the bridge is, right? I might feel stuck during the time that I am walking the transitional space, that I am
Yes,
walking the
it's
the
uncomfortable.
liminal space.
Yeah,
But it does not mean that I am not
it's
walking. It just means that it's a period that I am putting the energy, that I am putting the effort, that I am having commitment, consistency, compassion, discipline, effort, and I'm going to keep showing up. And as I keep showing up, at some point I can see the other side of the bridge. At some point I'm going to be there as well. It's like there is a quote that says, I cannot really see the ocean or something like that. I cannot see the horizon if I am afraid of losing sight of the shore. It's something like that. It's a quote like that,
yeah.
like, yeah, you have to get into your boat and leave the shore that you are changing, you know, get out of your sight and just focus on the sight that it's what you have decided and you have chosen.
It,
And just be
and
patient.
trust,
Yes.
right? Trust and and have faith that that the divine will move you in the right direction, especially if you're listening. And again, this will be the third time I think I've come back to the icky thing, but I think that that is also
Yeah.
a sign from God, the universe, from whoever, whatever you believe in, is trying to direct you if you're listening, if you're taking your time with it, and realizing again that you're not necessarily stuck. It's just a transition. So, I mean, if
You're
you're,
just in your
that's
bridge.
right, because you're just in the middle of your bridge making your way, and so if you're, if you've been on a grief journey, if you've been on a journey of divorce, if you are in midlife and going through menopause, or if you're a recent empty nester, a new parent, and you're feeling these unsettled and uncomfortable feelings, maybe reframing that as, with the awareness that you're in a transitional state, you're in the space between, you're in the liminal space, and what is up in front of you is going to be opening you up possibly to the, well, it will be opening you up, and maybe that's your next best and most lovely adventure.
Yes.
So,
Yes. If you are starting college, if you are changing jobs, if you are starting something new, like, a social media, like endeavor, like Mary and I, it's just like trust the
yeah.
process. Again, another quote I saw the other day. I really love this quote. It's like, fear and faith,
Ah,
both are trusting. No, both are related to what you cannot see. Fear paralyzes you, and faith allows you to keep moving forward, right? So, like Mary said, just have faith in the process, have faith in your life, have faith in your gut instinct, and have faith in your faith, whatever faith you have, right?
yeah. Surrender and trust, and know that, you're protected and you're always loved, and, everything is always happening, for you, and in your best interest always, for for the, best you to come forth, even though it can be uncomfortable.
And one thing that is really important, choose the people who are going to walk the journey with you. Like, I'm walking this journey with Mary. We support each other. We hold each other. We give energy to each other. We are there just to be present, quiet, no unsolicited advice, right? So because the people who are walking with you, either they are gonna give you energy, or they are gonna drain your energy, or they are gonna hold you back.
Right.
So you definitely need to surround yourself with the people who are gonna propel you to your destiny, right?
That's exactly right. And, you know, and I couldn't be more grateful to walk this path with you, Anna. That is for
Me
sure.
too.
Um,
Me too. We have been walking and we will keep walking difficult journeys, painful journeys, and brightful, grateful journeys, and growing journeys. And
all
the secret is just to keep saying yes, right?
That's right. It's what we came here for. We came here to do it all, experience it all, take it all in, and walk each other home. So,
Yes. And each one of us has a different approach. Like, I so hope that I would be amazing at cooking like
uh,
Mary, but I'm not.
yes, you are.
And I'm
Yes,
fine,
you are.
yes. So just embrace yourself too. Whatever
I
gifts
wish I
you
was.
don't have, you have other gifts. What?
I wish I was a doctor.
No, you are a very good coach, health and grief and amazing and cooking and
Oh,
all this kind. Yeah, that's the same thing. But anyway, yes, which each one of us has a gift. Each one of us contribute with something, and definitely hold hands with the people who are going to hold your heart,
yeah.
right? Sacred. Yeah.
And we're walking right there with you. And, you know, we are here. Last time we were here, Anna said that, and I want to echo that and bring that up this time, is that anyone who's watching, if you ever need any support or any guidance or any help or anything at all, please, you know, reach out to any accountability partner or, you know, an ear or just an encouraging word. We are here for you.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
we're going to be back next Wednesday at the same time at 4:50, no,
4:15
what,
p.m.
Central
Central.
or 5:15 p.m. Eastern. Yes. Okay.
Yes. And again, like we said before, if you have any questions, if you have any advice, if you have any topic that you would just want to listen to us talking about it, we would love to hear from you all.
We
We
sure would. So
love you all from our
we love
heart.
you. You take good care. Have a wonderful evening. And just know that that liminal space, that pause is bringing you to a new adventure and to a new wonderful space. So with that, we're going to say goodnight.
Good
Good
night. Bye.
night.
Love you.
Bye bye.